Welcome to Nalf's Nonsense. Now, if you look at a map of North America and you see Alaska, just based on where it is, you'd think it should be a part of Canada or maybe Russia, but not part of the United States. It's totally disconnected geographically from the rest of the United States. So I'm going to explain to you why does the United States of America own Alaska. So we've got to go back to the mid-1700s, where Russians were among the first people from Europe to settle in what is now present-day Alaska. At the end of the century, Russia officially proclaimed its ownership of Alaska with the Ukase of 1799. Now, fast forward to the mid-1800s. Russia is in the midst of the Crimean War, battling against the Ottoman Empire, France, Sardinia, and the British Empire. See, this time the British Empire was the Russian Empire's main rival. Side note, the Crimean War is when Florence Nightingale revolutionized the practice of nursing. Anyway, fast forward a couple more years and the Russian Empire loses the Crimean War. The loss of the Crimean War really weakened the Russian Empire and actually led to a lot of reforms in the Russian nation over the next few decades. But as a result of this war and the increasing tensions between the Russian Empire and the British Empire, Russia found it less and less appealing to be holding on to this territory close to the British-owned Canada. They thought it's really hard to defend this remote land. It's really hard to supply it. And the last thing we want to do is lose this to invasion by British-controlled Canada. How do we get rid of this? Here comes the United States. The United States Secretary of State William Henry Seward negotiated the deal. Side note, Seward was one of the targets of the 1865 assassination of Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't killed, of course, but he was wounded. He went on to become the Secretary of State, and now here he is negotiating with Russia to buy this big old plot of land. Negotiations started in 1867, but actually a good proportion of the United States citizens didn't have any interest in buying Alaska. They thought it was a waste of money, and they even went so far as to call it Seward's Folly. They thought it was worthless. Finally, on October 18th, 1867, the sale went through. Russia sold Alaska to the United States for $7.2 million. When adjusted for inflation in today's dollars, that's about $140 million. This is for a piece of land 500,000 square miles in size. In today's dollars, that's the equivalent of 39 cents per acre. Just for reference, the average acre of land in the United States today, $3,380. Pretty good steal, if you ask me. Public opinion of the purchase of Alaska actually totally flipped in 1899 when gold was discovered there, sparking the Alaskan Gold Rush. Alaska officially became the 49th state of the United States on January 3rd, 1959. And I'd say it's a pretty valuable purchase, if you ask me. Today, 25% of the United States' oil and 50% of the United States' seafood come from Alaska. It is by far the biggest state at over 500,000 square miles, 2.2 times the size of the next biggest state, Texas. So in short, after the Russians lost the Crimean War, they were worried about more territorial conquest. They were worried about their rival, the British, invading the Alaskan territory through Canada, which they controlled. And so instead of allowing that to happen, they decided to sell it to a friendly neighbor, the United States. What a steal for the USA. And that is why the United States owns Alaska today. Thank you for listening to my nonsense.